Hello, cosmic witches. Today's the episode you've been waiting for far too long because we kept putting off doing our spells. But we're going to talk about the spells we picked back in October and the progress we've seen from them, if we think that they've done anything, and just sort of our biggest takeaways. So that's pretty much it for today. We're just going to talk about our spells. If you haven't listened to the first episode already, I'm pretty sure it was back in October, but we'll link it in the show notes below saying, like, what we're choosing, why we're choosing it, and what that spell is. We just wanted to try out a little bit of witchcraft. We wanted to set some intentions with some spells and tell you our biggest takeaways. So that's what today's episode is. It's just like a part two because we were going to put it all in one, but then the other episode was so long. So we decided let's take some time and give you the update. So time has passed and it's time for an update. And let's get into it. Hey, Cosmic Witches! Divine Gossip Girls here, your one and only source into the spiritual happenings of the cosmos.
Ever wonder what this month's energy will have in store for you? What the planets and stars are even up to? Or if the universe can just help you catch a break already?
Well, lucky you, because we have all the spiritual secrets to tell. Get ready to sip on your weekly dose of divine tea.
Okay, so we all did some different spells. Mine was very much like I wanted it to be like every day. I wanted it, just like a small mundane one. I wanted it to be for like abundance or like calling things in. And I've really been into the idea of like kitchen witchcraft. So I had two. I had one with like hair and then I had one with the kitchen witchcraft. I think I definitely did the kitchen witchcraft one more just because it was so simple. And it was basically like speaking your manifestations and affirmations into like your food and into your whatever you are making. I did it less with food and more with like into my teas or coffees or whatever drinks I was making, like as I was stirring them. And I did it also, I made like this big pot of soup and I did it with the soup as I was like emulsifying and stirring it.
I'm excited to hear how this went for you because I feel like I'm going to do this for my next spell. I think
You
it's
should.
simple. I think it's
What was it that you
simple.
did, Maggie? What were you calling in? Was it like specific
Just
to something?
abundance and like money and things like that. And I feel like it's really helped. I feel like a big reason that I wanted to do it was, just call in more money, more abundance in general, because, I need the money to move and I need like, all these stuff from this new chapter in my life. And I definitely do feel like I was doing it a lot more intentionally in October, and October ended up like being a bigger month financially for me, making more than like I even set the intention for, which was fantastic. And I ended up like I had a specific number that I wanted to make. I had a specific number I wanted in my bank account because I have I have to pay some money back, and so I was able to do like a big chunk of that and still be at a certain point in my bank account, which was really great. And I've definitely felt a lot more secure with money. There were times obviously when I like questioned it, but it always seemed that when I went to my bank account, there was either A, more in there than I thought there was going to be, or B, there like was a little bit less, but I had like payments coming in later that week, which would then make it like way more than I expected it to be. So that was really nice because I felt like for a while my bank account had just stayed the same. Like I just felt like, yes, I would make money, but then all these bills or unexpected payments or whatever came up, and it was just like, oh, I was growing and then just going right back down, and I was like, I'm stuck at this number.
I feel like that's a similar pattern I'm in, and that's why I'm feeling quite called to try this out.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm stuck here and I need it to grow. I need it to grow. And so this is what I've done. And I definitely saw a lot more growth in like end of October, beginning of November. And I feel like it's sort of gone down again, but I think it's because I sort of stopped doing it. Like I kind of stepped away from it. And I'm like, oh, I have to start doing this because not only do I feel like it was very, calling in that magic and that abundance, but doing it with food and with drinks. A lot of the reason that maybe I wasn't making the money was because I didn't have the energy to like show up in the way that I wanted to. And I feel like I've fallen off that in the past week or so. And when I was like putting these affirmations and this like spell into my food. It was like nourishing my body on like a human level, but also my spirit. So it was like it was giving me the physical energy I needed and like that magical energy that I needed to call stuff in. So it was kind of like best of both worlds, if that makes sense. You know what I
Yeah, like
mean?
it was a
So
spiritual practice, but it was also like a somatic body human practice.
exactly, exactly. And then I feel like it just pushed me like one of the things that I would stir into it was that like I was like, falling back in love with manifesting and stuff like that. And I feel like I've been doing that more. Like we just led the manifestation Reiki circle, Carly, and like I've been getting into that manifestation energy and I've been going for walks. Like I ended up setting an intention in November to walk 10,000 steps a day because I looked at my steps from Denmark to here when I moved here and I was like, that is grim. So I made that my intention and I've been using that like hour and a half that I like go outside and I'm walking to also like manifest what I want. Like one of the things I'm doing is like manifesting where I want to live. So as I'm walking, I'm just looking at houses and I'm like, my house is going to have a window like that. Or like, my apartment is going to have something like this, is going to have a big tree like this. Like I just look, or like if there's something I don't like, I'm like, that is not what my apartment's going to be like. And I'm just sort of like calling it in. And I just feel like this spell sort of, yes, I feel like it's called in money, but I also feel like it's called in that energy for me to like want to do more.
Yeah, like that reconnection to your spirituality.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
How did yours go, Soph?
So for anyone who may not know, but I feel like I can't even remember like when we set the intention to do these spells. It was kind of difficult for me to prioritize doing it because of just different things like my grandma passing and just different things that didn't allow me the capacity to just be like, okay, like let me get into this. However, hence why we're bringing you the recap a little later than anticipated and planned. But my spell was to tap into my creativity and bring that creativity back. So I didn't fully do all the what's the kind of rules. I don't want to use the word rules, but the intentions towards this spell. But I did get my moon water, my bowl of milk, and my blackberries, and some bees. And one particular afternoon, however, I've had that altar there for the past like week and a half, and I have really noticed a massive shift in the flow of my ideas and my creativity. Like I have literally, guys, had so much resistance towards creating content and showing up online and like the ideas towards like workshops and practices. I literally showed up online, I think 4 or 5 times, like on my grid. Maggie, you know how huge that's been because like I hadn't been showing up for a while, right? And I had been showing up, but it wasn't like in the way that I normally would. And it was kind of like I had to force myself to do it kind of way. Whereas this last week and a half, there's been more of like an ease and more of like a lot of ideas and creativity and inspiration flowing through me of things I want to say and what I want to create and what I'm giving and what I'm selling and what I'm sharing. And I have felt that. And obviously I feel like the spell working hand in hand with like the the intentions that I'm setting, the practices that I'm also doing as well. But I really have felt that shift. And even just going, you could probably go onto my Instagram and see how much I have like kind of started to show up online. And even like with my membership, I have a long list of like practices I want to create, and they genuinely excite me, and I'm excited to create them and tap into the creativity of that and the creation of that, which has been huge because I feel like remind me guys, because I feel like I've been on a whole journey since we recorded that first podcast episode, but remind me where I was at when we decided these spells.
I think you were having a hard time like knowing like what you wanted to create. Like
Yeah.
you can feel free to jump into Carly
Kind of
if you
feeling like stagnant, right?
yeah. And you were like, I just don't want to post on Instagram. Like I just don't want to create stuff. And even like just talking to us like off of the podcast, even, you had walls up of like I was like, we need to all do Black Friday, and you were like, oh, I can't. And like you were like, we were saying, I remember saying to you, like, I think I just texted you, like, I really think you need to like do your groups next year, like run certain programs again that you haven't run in a little while. And you were like, I know, but I just, and I've even just been getting texts from you, just even in the past week, being like, that's it, I'm doing Black Friday. That's
the text
it.
that,
I'm
can
doing
I
this
say,
in
Maggie does
2025.
not reply to it.
No, literally.
I suck
I
at
feel
answering.
like that's you having two Geminis as your
It's
friends,
honestly, if
Sophie.
somebody can,
Sophie
like,
texted me yesterday and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy for her. And then today I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy for her. And then literally an hour before this podcast episode, I'm like, oh shit, I never responded.
Sometimes I just respond in my mind. Like I,
No,
and then
literally.
I'm like, oh my God, I
I've gotten to
didn't.
the point
I'm
of our
such a little
relationship.
hamster. I'm like, oh, let me respond. And then I like think of my response and I feel like I energetically respond to you. And then I just don't physically do
No,
it.
I mean, I've gotten to the point of our relationship where I know I don't take it personally. But anyway, I have. Like, I know this, like, there has been a massive shift. At least specifically in this last week, which ironically, I did do the spell in this last week, you know, and I've had that altar up there. And it's funny because I've not even got the full setting of it. Like, it's just like a bit of the spell. It's not even the full spell. And
So maybe next time we do a spell episode, you can do another update when you feel
Yeah.
like you've really gone into it,
Yeah.
because I think it'll be so. I really hope that you continue with it, because I feel like even just this week, it's been like a little fire.
Oh no, like definitely. I feel like even just like I have a bunch of ideas, like content ideas that I want to execute. Like I'm like annoyed I didn't have the time to date to fucking create, you know, because I wanted to do it. And just like with the ideas for my membership and like workshops and Instagram lives that I want to create, and like this, it's funny because I see this new idea, but it's not even you, it's just been there and I've not let it really fully like land. But a lot of you all know me as like someone who just dances all the time, like dances at my workshops online, and my content. And I'm really bringing that element into the work that I do, but on like a more intentional, meaningful, somatic level, and using somatic dance as like a method within my work. And ever since, like, really, like this last week, genuinely this last week, being like, why am I not like fully like claiming this and running with this and stepping into this? And since like that shift, that's when all these ideas started to like flow through me, and like the content and the desire to show up and speak about what I want to share and how I want to share it has started to shift.
And before we move on to Carly's, I wanted to say we were talking a little bit before we press record, so I want to make sure we include this. What you were saying, Sophie, about you were like, I don't know if it was the spell, or I don't know. Do you want to like sort of talk about that feeling? Like, I think when you're doing a spell, there can be a lot of doubt.
Obviously, I've been doing other practices, and
Mm.
beginning of last week, I set up a group with people that been doing like a content course with. I'd done a content course back in July, and we have like the replays to it. And I invited people who had done it with me to re-meet up and go through them. And we obviously started that last week. And I also feel like that has been a massive push for me as well, because it's been keeping me accountable. It's been like really not inspired. I hate using the word inspiring, but it has been like igniting that fire back within me. But I think like it's okay to have like different elements. Like I've had that spell.
Definitely.
And I feel like maybe would I have like initiated that group if I didn't have that, you know?
And that's what we were saying, right? Right before we press record, was that it's also just about intention.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even just setting that intention, being like, I'm making this altar, I'm setting this intention to create this spell or, work with this deity that's going to call forward this energy. It's also like setting that intention. And so like, that's why I really want to create like a little altar space to be like, this is my intention. And when you like, take the time once a week to be like, I'm going to refresh this part of my altar, I'm going to clean this. It reminds you of your intention. It refreshes that energy. And then you're like, okay, we're in it. We're in it. We're in that energy.
It just added to that fire, and it added to that creativity that was like coming alive with just like the different the different things that I was tapping into, but it just allowed me to like channel that intention even more probably.
I feel like also when you're doing like spells or setting intentions, you're just like awakening that energy within you, especially when you're like working with goddesses or deities or like any sort of energy. I really do feel like these spells just help you to like awaken something that's already within you, but it's just dormant because you haven't had your focus there. And so I'm not surprised, Sophie, the second that you like set that intention and you really focused your energy towards it and started to channel that energy through you, it just, the clarity came to you because I want to say, you guys, I've been telling Sophie she's a somatic practitioner for like months now. And I don't know what it was, but it seems to be after that you did the spell, it just clicked for you. And you're like, wait, yeah, duh.
It's like it clicked. It had clicked, and I think it's just like that claiming and that confidence piece as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Took some
And it's
time to
still
like ease
something
into
I'm
it.
working on. It's just still something I'm working on, but like there's just been like, okay, like now go.
Mm-hmm. It's the time. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, my spell, I actually was like trying to look it up to tell you guys specifically like what it was, but I guess there wasn't anything like it literally is just like a tiny little blip of it. But I remember at the time I was just looking to call in a bit more abundance. I can't remember if I had already
And
launched my
confidence.
course.
You
Yeah, I
also
think it
wanted like
was,
this confidence in it. I don't think
I can't remember.
you had because I'm pretty sure we
We
recorded
really
it.
should have listened.
We should have, yeah, we should have listened to this before we said it. But
I'm pretty sure we
do,
recorded it, Carly, before you came here.
yeah, I think it was before I came. So then it had to be before we launched, before I launched my program. And I remember at the time I was like, okay, I feel like this abundance energy is something that I'm cultivating, but I don't necessarily feel confident in my ability to like harness it into like the physical. You know, it's like I feel spiritually abundant, but how do I like turn that energy into my reality? Like how do I embody abundance and like really call it in? So it was actually even before I did this spell, you guys, that I started to just start to like see more spider kind of like things just here and there, like hearing them randomly in like tarot readings or like just seeing like spiders on like people, the back of people's like cars, like pictures or something of like a spider. So I already feel like the energy of the spider was coming forward, like, okay. And I'm a very like animal insect kind of person. Like that's a lot of times when I'm doing Reiki, the symbols I get come through animals. So the second that Maggie suggested this, I already was like, okay, spider energy is already here. So the spell was to draw a picture of a spider. I don't think I did it to the T. I just kind of was like, I'm going to do it with the things that I have, but it suggested like a red piece of paper. I did it on the back of like a newspaper that had some red in it. So I kind of was like, but once again, it's all about that intention. So I didn't
And
do it
making
to
it
a
your
T.
own.
Yeah. And making it my own. I'm like, okay, calling forward the energy. For me, I was like, I'm going to do it in the way that feels right. So I drew like a random picture of a spider on the back of newspaper and I just put it on top of basically like the shelf where I have all like my tarot cards, and kind of near like my altar space where I have all my crystals and sage and stuff. And then I threw a couple coins in there. And after I did that, I like called on the energy of the spider and did like a little Reiki, cleansing of the space. And I think it was like a week or 2 weeks later. I can't remember how long ago this was, but I had a dream of a spider and it was like crawling on this man. And I was not freaked out at all because I feel like I was like telepathically speaking to this spider. I was like, okay, cool. It was giving me some sort of wisdom, but like now I can't remember. Maybe I don't need to remember, but it was just like giving me some wisdom. And then it turned into like a tattoo on this man's arm. And all I heard was like, it's done. Like, you don't have to worry about it. It's done. And ever since that dream, once again, I've been calling in more abundance, especially as I'm going to South America. I was like, okay, I would love to have more money to kind of work with in my travels. And I ended up making the amount that I had set in my course, like to the T. I made the exact amount that I was like, oh, this would make me feel very abundant, like leaving, like physically. And then also I was calling it another dog watching gig, which is just like something that doesn't usually happen. Like dog watching people usually book you out like 2 to 3 months in advance. But I got a message like a week before, like I was like, hey, this is the last week I could watch a dog. And the family was like, we spontaneously were invited on a trip. Could you watch our puppy? And so I got to hang out with the puppy last week. And that was like a great, just random little boost of abundance before I left. So I definitely feel like the spider energy is something that like I'm working with now, and it's just kind of there. I even like I've been having so many tarot card like random little readings on like TikTok or like YouTube that I like listen to randomly, and all the people are like, you probably have randomly been seeing spiders. This could be a really big sign for you. And I'm like, okay, I see you. Cause I mean, that's not really something that I have connected to a lot in the past. But ever since I've done the spell and just made the intention to kind of work with the energy of the golden spider and ask for support in manifesting more consistent abundance, it's like that symbol has just been everywhere. So yeah, that's been my fun little experience with it. And I really think that it's continuing to play out. And yeah, but like golden spider, I would prefer that you do not physically appear in South America. Because I know they've got some insects, and I will be literally, though, another weird thing, you guys, the one of the readings that I listened to yesterday was like a 24-hour reading. I don't know, it's just like me with my readings somehow. Like over the past week, I've just like in the morning time that I listen to like a tarot reading that pops up on YouTube. So Maggie, you should do that because they are people's tarot card readings blow up on YouTube. You really need to do them. And they just like random people, they always find me at the right time. This lady was like 24 hours, you're going to receive a message from someone. And she was one of the people that's like, spiders are probably really relevant to you. If you're seeing this and that's your sign, like know that like the spider energy is coming through. She's like, you're going to receive a message from someone in the next 24 hours that's going to solidify some plans. And I've been waiting to hear back from this volunteer person. And literally as we started this call, he just messaged me. And he was like, I'm so sorry, because it was 7 days since I sent the last message. So it was a little iffy. I was like, what? But he said he was away at the farm, which it's like a remote area. So there's not really internet access. But I was like, what are the odds? So it's just really weird things are falling into place right now. And so thank you, Golden Spider. Appreciate your support.
I feel like it's not odd. I feel like it's magic. I feel like
yeah.
And you know, it's like, it's the kind of synchronicities that just can't be like made up, you know, where you just like, yeah, when you start seeing something everywhere and it just becomes like a little too unrealistic, you're like, okay, this is magic.
I'm just celebrating Carly so much and like hitting that goal and like allowing myself.
Thank you, doll. But I feel like it was like an energetic shift of kind of being in my head about abundance and being like, okay, I haven't really seen, like kind of like you were feeling, Maggie, where it's like, okay, I feel like it's coming in, but I just feel like there's some sort of block. Almost.
It's so funny because I feel like that's where I'm at now. Like, I feel like now that I've like kind of resparked that creativity, I think like I want to tap into this abundance and
I think I want to spark my creativity because I
feel
like I
roles
don't know.
reversed.
Like, yeah, I was literally thinking the other day, being like, I just feel like it used to be so easy for me to create content, and lately I just feel so blocked with like what I want to create. I'm like, I have so many ideas of what I could create, but also at the same time, zero ideas of what I want to create. So I'm just like, I'm thinking I want to tap back into that. But my overall take I wanted to say from all of us is that I think spells kind of help you surrender. Like, I think it's like putting that in energy intention out there. You're like, I am putting this intention for creativity, for abundance, blah, blah, blah. And I think the reason that they work when it comes to the magic and when it comes to like the manifestation and actually stepping into the energy is because we're so in our heads. Like, I think all of us were just in our heads, right? We felt like there was like this block. And what we do is like we set this spell and it's sort of like, okay, I've done this and now I can kind of surrender and trust is going to come to me. And it's the moment we let go, all that energy surges back in. You know, like the moment we let go of, you know, for you, Soph, maybe it was something like being hard on yourself, like I have to create in order to do this. I have to create and I have to make good stuff. And as soon as you're like,
And it
well, I'm
has to
going to
be
set
this
this
certain way.
intention.
Feel like I was like holding on to like this
Yeah.
perfectionism or what it looked like or what was saying or like who I was speaking
Mhm.
to, you know?
And it's like as soon as you let go, then all of a sudden you can just like create from this like natural flow state, and that can help. And even for Carly and I, it's like we're in our heads being like, we need to make this much, or how can I do it this way, how can I call in this money, and we're like and then as soon as we set the intention and sort of let go, it's like, okay, it can find us again. And so I think that's one of the greatest things about spells is that surrender is one of the hardest things to do when it comes to manifestation. Because as much as you can say, oh, yeah, I'm releasing control, either we aren't really releasing control and we're like still holding on so tightly, or we release too much control and we almost become like apathetic about it, where we're just like, oh, whatever, it'll happen when it happens, but then you're not actually taking the action that you need. So like when you do that intention, you're like, intention is still there to take the action, but then the surrender is still there being like, okay, I put the spell out, okay, universe, okay, whoever I'm working with, let's make it happen, right? And I think I can see that in all of our stories today, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, I would
I
love
hope
to
you
try more
guys,
spells.
yeah.
I hope this inspired you guys too to like try out setting more, I guess, doing either like rituals or creating an altar or looking to call upon like certain energies to really support you, because sometimes the best thing we can do is call upon different aspects, different things, and get out of our own way. Of course,
Exactly.
like taking the action is necessary, but I think when we are able to like surrender to a spell, it gives us more of that tangible physical thing that allows us to believe more in the outcome than just being
And
like,
the
all right,
surrender.
I surrender. Yeah, just on
Yeah.
its own. So I think it really did help us get out of the way, but also get our minds out of the way so that our spirits could kind of lead us to what was just like
Agreed.
inevitably meant to come through. So thank you, Maggie, for giving us those
Thank
spells.
you. This was fun. We'll definitely have to do another episode sometime soon. Maybe we'll do like a new energetic year spell with Aries season coming in a couple of months. But I had a lot of fun doing this. If you are listening and you want a spell for something, email us at divinegossipgirls@gmail.com, or you can message us on any of our Instagrams or at theritual.co and ask us, can you recommend a spell for blank? And we want to do a Divine Gossip Girls hotline episode all about spell recommendations. So if you are interested, if you want a spell for something, we're going to give out spells, we're going to give out practices. So hit us up with your cues and we will make that episode. But for now, that was us trying our hand at some spells, at some witchcraft, and maybe we'll do more spells, maybe we'll do other types of witchy stuff and let you guys know how it goes. But for now, thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk with you next week. All right, bye.
Bye.